Ren from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today we're going to be talking about the games we're playing. Let's check it out. Welcome back to another episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today I'm joined by Danik.
I'm here.
Oh my gosh, and we're here to talk about the games we've been playing. We've been dipping back into nostalgia, I think, to put it lightly.
We're characters in Chrono Trigger, and we've been going back in time.
Yeah. So yeah, we each brought three of our most recent games, I would say. We definitely have a bunch, because I'm going to be honest, we haven't done this video in a hot minute. But I don't know, man. We've just, this past month, it seems like both of us have just been assaulting the PS1.
On fire.
I just can't get enough
I didn't. Did you grow up with the PS1?
Yeah.
I had one. I got the Nintendo 64 first. And I got the PlayStation 1 pretty late in its life because I wanted Tony Hawk. And my brother had one for sports games.
Yeah.
So I was a late bloomer and I missed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And this has been almost therapeutic of things that I've missed.
Yeah, and what's weird is because, like, you know, nowadays with the advent of the internet, it's so easy to look at what games are out there.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I didn't look at magazines. If it was in the store, I got it. So now that I have, you know, access to all this knowledge, I've just been going back and, yeah, I've been playing some games I've been wanting to play for decades. And, yeah, excited to talk about it.
Same here.
Yeah. But if you enjoy these types of videos, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps out the channel immeasurably. It may seem like such a little thing, but hey, it just can change the future of the channel. So thank you so much. And we would love to know, what are your three most recent games you've been playing? Please let us know down in the comments. But without further ado, let's get started. So, Danik, what is the first game you're going to be sharing with us?
A little ditty called Resident Evil Survivor.
This is so weird. I've seen the cover of this game most of my life.
More times than I've seen. I could draw from memory this game's box. Yeah. I thought from 1999 as a kid that this was a light gun rail shooter.
Yeah, and when you showed me gameplay, I was like, I've never seen
Had no
this
idea.
Before.
Never, and it plays like Doom kind of.
Really?
It's crazy. My complete misconception of this game shocked me.
Yeah.
And it ended up being great. I can't recommend
Isn't
it
that
enough.
so wild, dude? You showed me when you came over. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks fantastic.
It's amazing.
And
it's really short, but it has like different paths to go.
Really?
Like, you know, you go down path A, path B, path C, and they kind of jump, but it all converges at like the end and whatever. And that's kind of your replayability.
Okay. Yeah.
But I love it.
Man,
I can't even believe I missed this.
So, I think part of the addiction to PS1 right now is the graphics.
Oh yeah.
That era, and I think that's why I find that the DS and 3DS like sucked me in. Is like the 3D games on that very much can reminisce of PS1, and oh my gosh, dude. The blocky architecture, just the graphics moving around in the 3D space. It's intoxicating, dude. It's crazy. And one of the reasons I love it so much is like when I would play like Metal Gear Solid and you go into like first person mode.
Yes.
The way it looks, that's
this game.
And I love it.
It's
dude.
like that, but like in keeping to the Resident Evil of the time, like you're controlling like Doom, but you have to stop, and that brings up the reticle that I always thought was like a light gun game.
Okay.
So you have to stop and aim like you do in a classic Resident Evil.
Okay.
But it otherwise plays like Doom.
Yeah.
And I keep saying like it plays like Doom, but because I'm so blown away that it wasn't an on-rails light gun shooter.
Right.
Because I always thought it was like House of the Dead.
Okay.
Which I think is what Dead Aim is, but now I'm so like, maybe Dead Aim's just Survivor. I don't.
Our life's
been
a lie.
Yeah, because there's 2 or 3 of these Survivor games.
Right.
Now I need to check those out now because it's classic Resident Evil, hokey voice acting, goofy story. It's great.
Right.
If you like the classic Resident Evil, man, how did I miss this?
Yeah. Well, it's weird because I find as time goes on, like, I'll be honest, if I was a mega Resident Evil fan back in the day, if something like that came out, I mean, like, I want no part of it. This isn't, you know, the tank controls. Like, I hated...
And Nemesis and all that.
I would always hate differentiate.
The spin-off kind of stuff.
But now that I've gotten older, I don't know what it is. I'm just like, it is what it is, you know, and I can enjoy something for what it sets out to do.
I like what would have been like 12, 13 years old at the time. I'd have been the exact same way.
But the game just looks amazing, and I'm gonna have to sit down and knock it out.
It was a short like a first playthrough was short, and I was like, this is great.
All right, rock on. Okay, so I'm going to keep it retro here, but Final Fantasy X. So I'm going to be hopping forward to the PS2. I have not played this game in 2 decades, and I won't get into it here because we're going to keep it chipper, but this was my late brother's favorite video game of all time. And Final Fantasy X, to me, is just a very, I won't say haunting, but it is a colossally impactful reminder to me personally of how much magic and just impact a game can have. And when you're playing it, and the story, the music, I mean, we were talking about this around the bonfire last night. Like, dude, the characters in this game have soul to them. You have Tidus, who is estranged from his father, and then you have Auron, who just in time has somehow managed to get even cooler than I originally thought he was, because he's almost like this liaison between Jecht and Tidus, and you have this character dynamics. And look, dude, I love JRPGs. I love the tropes and all that. However, I do feel like Final Fantasy X is an era where characterizations had much more individuality to them, and they weren't so locked into like, well, here's the tsundere, here's the customary, hot tub scene, and oh no, towels are falling. Like Final Fantasy X had an overarching story and theme that it followed, and it's devastatingly impactful to me. And I'll be honest, there in the beginning, I almost didn't even know if I could get through it. It was just, but I'm so happy I did, because Final Fantasy X's interchange system is jaw-droppingly addicting. It's crazy. I had forgotten. It'd been so long how fun it is to just swap out your party members.
I've mentioned to you, I played Persona 5 when you got me to play that. To me, that was like the most like fun, the combat.
Yeah.
But prior to Persona 5, Final Fantasy X was just, it was like fast, it was engaging.
Yeah.
Just something about it always stuck with me for 20 years.
And what's interesting is how development started to change to make leveling up different, but feel continuously rewarding. Because I'm playing. We'll talk about in a little bit, but in other JRPGs, it can be a long stretch between you level up and you feel a very distinct, powerful power gain. But what's interesting about Final Fantasy X's Sphere Grid is how it's continuously drip feeding you, like, hey, you're progressing levels. Like, hey, you just got 4 more strength. Hey, you just got this weird. Oh, you just unlocked double cast. Boom. It was just a continuous cycle of like power gains, and I love that. And I would say, aesthetically, this might be one of the prettiest games to me. Like,
I don't know what you would describe 10's like art with like the fates that kind of float around.
Oh,
that ethereal stuff that's kind of always permeating.
Yeah.
Like in Kingdom Hearts, like not to go off, kind of used a lot of that in the it was a PS2 era kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it stuck in 10 a lot just because it was a one game thing.
Right. I think for me thematically, why it hits a little harder is like obviously with my brother, the game does deal with crossing over. We won't cover spoilers or anything here, but it's the same for 7 with me. It's about the cycle of life and letting go and coming to terms with maybe an estranged family member. There's just a lot to it, and I kind of maybe I need to open myself up more to some of the themes that are coming out in more modern JRPGs, but I don't know if it's ever really hit as hard as it did in 10 for me. And that was just an excellent experience, and it felt very much like my experience. I mean, we all have very deep emotional connections to games, but and that's what it's all about, is the magic of gaming, and I can't get that from a movie.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that brings me back to this hobby and searching for the next.
Right. Yeah, and that's just it. Like the hallowed quest of this channel is to chase that feeling. And yeah, this past month I got that. So.
Yeah, and that's great. It's great.
So next up, the game you have, you also dipped a little back, not as far back as the PS1, but
I went back into Dragon Age Origins.
Oh my gosh!
First time I ever played this one.
Really?
Yeah, and huge Mass Effect fan.
Yeah.
It sucks that Mass Effect 3 never came out. Shame. I wish that would happen. And I just missed Dragon Age. It came out on 360. I bought it, and I wasn't at the time. Like I said, Mass Effect I was a fan of already.
Right.
But I just wasn't into fantasy. I just was not in. I was playing World of Warcraft, and I was kind of getting it there. So now playing Dragon Age, what a game!
Yeah,
absolute classic.
I haven't played it since the 360, but I don't know how well the controls translated.
Well, I ended up playing the PC version on Steam Deck, and I wouldn't super recommend it.
Right.
It's just awkward, but. Right. I got through it, and it ended up being intuitive, the little community layouts they have. But the story, I mentioned to you, speaking of World of Warcraft, it plays like World of Warcraft single player, but you control the party members, and you pause the game to like kind of say, I want to cast this spell for each party. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And like, everyone I've talked to who's like a huge fan of Dragon Age 1 is like, yeah, don't bother playing anymore.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, it's the internet. There's always diehard fans of everything out there.
Just gave it to you for Mass Effect.
But for me, Dragon Age, I haven't played the third one, but for me, the first one is just
incredible.
It's too good of an experience.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a dark, gritty fantasy, and it's weird because, I watched Game of Thrones. I was on the hype train, but I'm just kind of burned out on that aesthetic, but I still think that Dragon Age captured dark, gritty, realistic fantasy too well.
Yeah, and like it must have, because they've just never been able to fall.
Yeah.
And the world is fantastic.
Yeah.
Characters have deep problems.
Yeah, there's like dark,
real
there's some
problems.
dark stuff. I'd almost wonder if like a Dragon Age could be
like they're like
the same way
just
these days.
it is a just brutal world with people who are very like conflicted.
Yeah,
it was I can't believe, again, like Resident Evil, I mean, this is a totally different game.
Right.
I can't believe I missed this.
Right.
This is in my hollow top tier. What a phenomenal game. And it was what I was in the mood for in that moment, and what an event. I will eventually play this game again.
I would say for Western RPGs, that's top 5. Top 5.
I mentioned to you, like, I rarely play games again, just because I'm always searching for the next thing.
Right.
Play Dragon Age again. 100%.
I mean, that's a massive mark of honor.
Especially, for me, that's a stamp of approval.
Yeah. Okay, so next up, I'm gonna be dipping back to the PS1 with Vampire Hunter D. I did just recently showcase this on the channel, but I'm a massive Vampire Hunter D fan. I fell in love with it ever since I seen the first one on TV as a kid. Wait, I should not have seen that movie as a kid. Let's just say I'm not gonna let my son watch that movie when he's my age. That said, I'm happy I did, because I've been a diehard fan of Vampire Hunter D my whole life. And speaking of misinformation, I thought the game was localized only in Japan when it came out.
And you have the case right here and showed it to me.
Yeah, I was just like, and then like people I know, it came. I'm like, wow, I'm so embarrassed. Anyways, I've corrected the problem and played it. I'm not gonna go out and say this is the best Resident Evil ever. It's got flaws. It's a flawed game. But I loved it.
It seemed, I didn't play, it seemed so like, we looked up like 99, 2000, something like that.
Yeah.
What? It was really ahead of the curve in a little bit. It tried some
very risky things, like using tank controls in jumping sections. That's probably not the best thing you should have done. However, like the mechanics of using the left hand to be able to, weaken enemies and then, consume them for power, and you can use that power to cast spells or heal yourself, or just, continue to, eliminate enemies. And I loved it. And it's not perfect, but it has multiple endings. And I found out since my showcase, somebody let me know that it has well more than 2 endings. So
really?
I have the game's so uncovered, like people don't talk about it. And there's not a ton of information that I could find about it.
You have one FAQ on GameFAQs from 99.
Dude, I was thinking about it the other day. God bless GameFAQs.
Thank God that some of that stuff is still archived.
I'm not like the biggest GameSpot fan, but like, dude, GameFAQs
That's like old internet still around in a way.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I think if you're, anyways,
I printed some of those facts at school, man.
Yeah, 50-page document and print. But yeah, I loved it, and I really felt that it has a lot of soul to it, and I think that's just it for me where I'm at right now as a gamer. Is I do feel I'm retracting back.
Sure.
You know, I've been trying to get at the tip of the spear, and maybe it's just an attrition that's wearing me out, but I'm just like, I feel myself being pulled back to the era where I feel I belong, which is that PS1, DS, that era right there. And
it's
I love
home.
it. Yeah, it's home,
comfy.
and it looks familiar to me, and I love my time with this. I'm not going to recommend this to everybody, because unless you're a diehard Vampire Hunter D fan, or you are A-okay with tank controls, yeah, you probably should stay away. But for me, again, gaming is a personal experience, and I personally loved it.
That's excellent.
Okay, so we got our last two games we're going to be talking about here, and they're kind of uniquely linked, which is kind of weird.
It's super weird. We were just kind of casually talking about these. I'll get us started off here with Paper Mario. Why did I play such long games this year? What a great game.
Really?
Yeah, this is...
Is it a long game?
Oh, it was like 30, 40 hours.
Oh, okay.
But
it's a decent
it was a decent romp.
Yeah.
Great game.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Mario and Luigi games on DS. I'm probably talking about them on this channel. And I played Paper Mario. I remember renting it at Hollywood Video as a real little kid. But I don't...
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. But I don't like... I don't remember how far I got. It was just, I remembered liking it. So finally, I jumped back in, and it was a great game. It had the combat had what I liked about Final Fantasy VIII was your trigger, your R1, whenever you go to attack.
Yeah.
The whole game is this idea.
Right.
Every character has a unique situation to combat to do bonus damage.
Right.
And every attack against you has a to defend, and you get like bonus defense.
Right.
And this is the whole game, and it's great. And we just saw the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes. Mega nostalgia.
And I loved that. And like the characterizations of the movies, like Bowser's kind of goofy and things. This is Paper Mario, and it just fit right in. I'm playing Paper Mario. I see the movie. I'm just overloaded.
Oh.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
The Toads are annoyingly cute.
Yeah.
It's all of the characters in Paper Mario. Like Princess Peach has like kind of a Metal Gear Solid scene after every chapter where she's trying to escape, and she reads Bowser's diary, and he runs in and goes, "Who's reading my diary?" It's just, it's exactly. It's the whole game is silly. It was great, and I sent you the picture of the ending of the game, and it just says the end, and fireworks are going off, and they're just it's great.
Like, I just wanted to stick my face into the image.
Yeah,
just like put me
it was such a comfy game. It was adorable. It was cute. It was funny. It was great. It was everything that I love about Mario, RPGs, just Nintendo, all of that. If I mentioned to you, like we were talking about PS1, at some point I was like, I want to play a Nintendo 64 game. Yeah. Ended up being Paper Mario. That was it. Nailed it.
On. Yeah, you crushed it. So we did a little bit of a quick Google search history lesson, and I'm playing a game that is linked in some way to Super Mario, or Paper Mario, and that's Legend of Dragoon. And so we were just reminiscing about games by the bonfire the other night, and we're just kind of like, Legend of Dragoon and Paper Mario, and then like there's an item limit, there's an active involved battle system. You're not just walking away, and it just kind of blew my mind. And apparently they have the same battle system dev, which is
wild,
crazy.
We just kept talking, and the comparisons were like,
it was pretty shocking, but. Yeah, so I've been playing Legend of Dragoon finally, and I have to say, this is the first game in the many, many moons that make me wonder what might have been.
You had played this?
If I had played this, like, I think if I had played this right after Final Fantasy VII, I probably would have not had a bigger drought in my love for JRPGs.
Sure.
Because, at the time, Final Fantasy VII was like this earth-shattering game. And I played a few others after that, but it wasn't really until I played Chrono Trigger and FF6 that like the ball started rolling again, because I was working my way back. But anyways, Legend of Dragoon is a game changer to me. It has everything I want from it. Just that in extreme. I would say the best. Like, it's up there with Final Fantasy IX for me personally in terms of 3D PS1 graphics. I just love the way it looks. Everything's polygonal, yeah, a little blocky, but I freaking love it. But what's really interesting to me is how dark the storyline is. So you follow the main character of Dart, and he's on a quest for vengeance, but over time he grows and the situation changes to where, he has to alter his goals, and it's very risky. It's a very dangerous JRPG. There's a lot of threat to the characters, and
Is it high stakes?
Very high stakes, yeah. And I love the music. It has, I know this is weird, one of the best menu themes in gaming to me.
Nice.
It's very oddly addictive. I don't know, like, I love it. But what's excellent about it, and it ultra unique and similar to Paper Mario, is so when you go to attack, there'll be this reticle that'll move towards a square, and you need to time your attacks once that reticles overlap, and you can complete the hit. If you miss, then you'll just do very little damage, and it can be the difference between doing like 17 damage and like 1200.
Absolutely.
You are not beating this game if you're not good at doing the addition system. Anyways, what's excellent is that each character has their own set of additions, and they start off really, really tame. It'll just be 1, then 2, then 3. So you essentially grow to learn the movements and patterns of the characters, and it becomes easier.
And it's like part of their personality.
Yeah, and it does. Like, you'll have Albert, who's this friggin' cannon of a lance user, and his attacks will be like boom, 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 and then you'll have like Dart's Madness here, which was such a freaking hard addition for me to do. And it's madness, so it'll be like boom, 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 and
like
it's
chaos.
Nuts. Yeah, it's chaos, and it's very thematic. And what's excellent is like the magic users will use items and such to where they'll throw the item and you'll mash X and it'll increase the multiplier of damage. It's always intuitive. It's very it's very involved.
Yeah.
And you'll have your Dragoon forms, spoiler, later on, to where they'll transform into these like, hard friggin' core, looks like friggin' Illidan, but less demonic forms, and you'll have these massively damaging spells, and your Dragoon forms very much feel like an event. Like, when you're, like, release the Dragoon form, like, it's just like, your character goes and the wings burst out their back, and, you're friggin' timing your attacks. It just, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm really loving Legend of Dragoon, and it makes me wonder what might have been.
Absolutely.
If I had played this 2 decades ago.
And like at the risk of like hype culture and like the rumors of the remake, I think they've been out there for a little while now.
Yeah.
Does having now almost finished with it?
I get. I'm on.
Are you on the train?
I am like knee deep into disc 4 right now, and yeah, I'm like, give me a sign. I'll go advocate for it too. But yeah, I hope it happens. It deserves it. I just don't know. I don't know. Would Bluepoint do it? It's a discussion for another day.
Absolutely.
But I think that Sony is sitting on a gold mine.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, like it was one of those games. I remember seeing it on the shelf.
Yeah.
At our local store all the time, and I just never.
I don't see. I was like an idiot when it came to games growing up because I just didn't. And I always thought Legend of Dragoon was like that very mythical, like Dragoon Saga or
like Panzer Dragoon.
Panzer Dragoon. Sorry, gosh. Oh, actually.
Well, I remember thinking as a kid it was. Do you remember Ark the Lad? Like the box?
Yeah.
I always thought for some reason, who knows, you were a kid,
right?
Those games were like, because both of them are like 5 and 4 discs, or something, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
right.
I could never.
Yeah.
That's so like intimidating.
Yeah, I get it.
And I knew Final Fantasy because I was introduced by a friend of ours,
right.
So that was fine.
Yeah.
But Legend of Dragoon was like just this mythic thing.
Yeah, right. Like that's at the back of the JRPG section.
Yeah,
like you're in deep at that point. You know? Yeah, that's what it felt.
I'm a noob, so I can't play Legend of Dragoon.
It's just weird to me because I've heard that the game kind of flopped overseas, but it took off over here. And it's just kind of sad that I didn't have any overlap with those fans.
Yeah.
You know? But it's what might have been, what could have been. But I'm loving my time with it. Yeah, and I can recommend it fully to anybody who's willing to try something different. Because I'm telling you, when you're grinding in this game, it's not like you're just watching something on TV. The game's like, no,
just mashing
eyes
X.
here. Yeah. Make eye contact with me.
And again, the Paper Mario thing.
Yeah.
If you're not engaged, you're gonna lose.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah, but yeah, like, and also just real quick, I know we're going over on time, but dude, there's a ghost ship section in this.
Excellent.
Can I just say, like, there's so many like reused things in JRPGs. I
need
love
more
those.
ghost ships.
I need more ghost ships. You know, like.
Just the bell tolling, the ghost ship.
Like, and dude, it's intense and it's spooky. It's spooky.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and I loved it. But yeah,
that's soul, man.
And I will say this: the end of Disc 3 blew my mind, but I'll leave it at that. But anyways, those are just the games we've been playing recently. We would love to know what yours are down in the comments. Also, Dana, thanks for coming and nerding out.
This has been an MVP year already.
Yeah.
I think there'll be more of these.
I know, man. And, gosh. And even in terms of big releases, we got Zelda a week away.
We're a week from Zelda.
Yeah, as of recording this. This will probably go up later. But anyways, I want to thank the channel members and patrons for your continued support. It really makes videos like this possible, so thank you so much.
Thanks for letting me come back.
Oh, man, thank you. And I wish you all the best, and we'll see you next time.